So Malcolm Stewart makes history at Tampa Supercross, and I think, Doc, nobody had that on their bingo card for this year. I mean, let's be fair. He was one of the best riders all day, though. I mean, from start to finish. I believe this in like 1,000%. He would have passed Chase regardless if Chase went down.
I mean, absolutely. I don't know about maybe that lap. Like, it seemed like he was a little far back. Although I will say Malcolm was making some of the best passes after the whoops. Like, his ability to cut down. Like, the only person I've ever seen slice under people like that is Ken Roxon. Honestly, I think Malcolm may have been doing it better than Kenny that night. But yeah, Malcolm was going to win regardless.
Although this race was amazing in that effort or in that side of things, it was also one of the worst races of the year too. I mean, we lost Hunter for at least a few rounds. Eli Tomac is hurt. And Ken Roxon also crashed out and got a DNF. So he lost 3 championship contenders in one round.
Basically completely ruined the season in a sense. Like this race, right? Like last week we lost Jet, which was sad, but there were still a good amount of people in the chip. Now, the only people that really have a shot are Chase and Cooper Webb, which is still cool. But if we don't lose Tomac and we don't lose Kenny, at least Kenny will be back racing. But as far as the championship goes, like those guys are pretty far out of it now. We have like a 4-rider battle for the chip, you know? Like
Tomac being hurt now, he lost so many points. He only gained 5. Ken Roxon only gained 1. And so now Ken Roxon's down 18 points. Tomac's down 21. I mean,
yeah, that's crazy.
It feels like just like instant feeling they're out of the championship. And like we don't predict them even getting back into it right now. It is only round 5 and there is 17 rounds. And so anything can happen in those 12 rounds, the next 12 rounds, right? But man, seeing Tomac barely make it around a track.
Like, here's the thing. I think Tomac could, you know, like say he just had a bike failure and he was down 18 points, right? And then went back and started racing. Could Tomac make up that amount of points? Maybe. I mean, his starts have been terrible. I mean, if he got great starts, but because of how bad he looked at Tampa, even if he comes back like 80%, I just don't know that 80% with his starts is good enough. Like he's going to have to get like first, like he's going to have to podium every round to salvage points and hope that he beats Sexton every time.
That's what I'm saying. Like 80% bad starts. That's not going to beat Cooper Webb. That's not going to beat Sexton. Without Roxon going, that's not going to beat Roxon, in my opinion, right this year.
Yeah.
This is going to sound harsh, but I think if the tables returned and Roxon was the one that is in Tomac's feed and Tomac was in Roxon's feed and Tomac had a DNF, I think Tomac would be the guy that could come back from this and 100% win the championship if that happened, right? Now him being hurt, like we just said, I don't know if that's feasible, man. He would have to be top 3 or first at least 8 rounds, at least.
Assuming Chase doesn't have like a night like these guys, which he could. I don't know. It's just like the more the field gets lightened, you know, in various ways, the top guys are going to start getting better starts because there's not as many top guys going for it. And then I feel like that's just going to start separating them more and they're just going to get better. They're just going to be up there. And then it's really just going to come down to a couple of the guys. And if one of them gets a bad start, he's going to get buried. And then they're going to make up a ton of points in the night instead of everyone kind of having bad starts every other round. I don't know. Just changes the dynamic for sure.
I think there's like maybe 2 guys that can play a huge factor. And that is one, Malcolm Stewart, who just won. I think if he can get on a roll, if he can continue that speed that he had at Tampa throughout the entire series, dude, he can straight up win races. You know what I mean? Like he can be on the box every round if that was the case every time. And another guy's Anderson. Anderson's starts are phenomenal. So he's always there for the opportunity to get a podium. And so
5 rounds. Yeah. But
5 rounds and he's been on the box 3, I think, something like that. I mean, say for example, Roxon doesn't crash in the sand. He could be on the box and he would have 4 out of 5 rounds on the boxes.
I don't know, man. 5 rounds in, Cooper Webb. I think that train's starting to choo-choo, brother. You know what I mean? I think he's starting to do Cooper Webb things. As long as he doesn't front flip onto his back onto concrete, I think we're good.
Hey, there's no dragging backs. We're good.
Yeah, as long as the buddy doesn't decide to become an Olympian on the asphalt, we're chilling.
Championship wise, bummer. 100% a bummer of a race. But on the flip side of that, one of the greatest moments in the Stewart's history, right? Yeah, they're the first brothers to ever win Supercross races, which is insane. You guys might be like, wait, Hunter, because Hunter won an SMX. But that's not the case, because Hunter, SMX, and Supercross is not the same. I mean, technically it is.
Ask Hayden Deegan if it's the same, you know?
Yeah. But no, a huge, but huge shout out to Malcolm for winning, man. Like, I did not expect that whatsoever.
Yeah, I don't think there was a Supercross fan in the world that was sad about that.
No, not at all. I mean, they were sad about everything else that happened in the day, but not that.
Worst day ever. Remove Tampa from the list is fine. Next year, let's just run A3, I guess. You know.
I mean, we probably should, man, for real. Let's talk about Ken Roxon's day. Like, we have our own opinions on the lappers and stuff like that. We won't argue about what's right or what's wrong here. It just sucks that it happened.
It was like an MX Bikes lobby. If any of the viewers have ever been in a race with lappers, it's kind of like that. So that's my thoughts.
And it cost him, man. It just cost him a lot of points, and it was very, very unfortunate. But not just Ken Roxon's crash. I mean, you got to think about Hunter Lawrence also went down. There's an actual video of Hunter hitting his head, and it doesn't even look like he does hit his head. But he has a neck injury, head injury. So maybe, we were talking about this a little bit, maybe like a whiplash thing. Yeah. And so it could be something like that.
I mean, I've definitely rang my bell pretty good without actually hitting my head. Like, just crashed and doing, you know, some sort of flip, and then not like maybe my head hit the ground a little bit, but not like, you know, where you're smashing your head against the ground. And I've been pretty messed up from that. So like, I feel like that was a pretty violent head turn too. And I also wonder, it looks like his like arms stuck into the ground and his head went down, and he could have hit himself like on the shoulder, you know, like in the side of the helmet or something, or up in here. I mean, you never know, you know. I mean, I feel like it's very possible he got hurt.
I mean, losing 3 freaking championship contenders, I mean, is horrible.
Yeah, just in the 450 class, not 250 class even, you know.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about the 250 class. First off, huge shout out to Max Anstey for a win. He looks like the best guy in the class. But PB, I mean, that is absolutely horrible, bro.
You know, it's bad when we get the news that he broke his back and we're like, oh, good, that's good, considering what could have been, you know? Like, everyone, I mean, that would look like a bad one. Or, I mean, when they don't show the replay of a crash, how many times have they showed Austin Forkner, you know, launching out of a catapult onto asphalt and like almost, or on the concrete, almost dying? When they don't show the crash, it's usually
pretty bad.
Not ideal.
There is a video of it online, and it looks like he was too far to the right and his foot peg caught the tough block, which made him lose momentum and front tire into the next one, and he went flying. Yeah. And he landed on his neck, obviously upper neck and head, and
like absolute worst case scenario.
Dude, it was so bad. He was flying too, man. Like all day long, him and Max look like the best 2 guys.
Way better than most of the other title contenders that we thought were going to be title contenders. I mean, I feel like they didn't even show up.
Levi looked horrible. Forkner looked horrible. RJ got stuck on a tough block for a lap. I don't know how that happened.
Like, even that was his own doing, you know?
Yeah.
Like he jumped right onto it. I don't know. It was very strange.
Very weird night. And you know what's even weird is like a guy that we 100,000% did not have on our radar gets second place in Dax Bennett.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he was a big surprise for sure. He did really, really good.
He looked really good. They were talking about, him and Max were talking about like right before the red, or right after the red flag, the stagger started. They're like, hey, just another day at the test track. And literally, that's what it was. It was crazy.
When you have like a quarter of the field on your team, benefit, you know.
I remember the start. It was like 4 star guys out in front. I was like, oh my god.
Mint colored Thor gear ripping, you know. It's like, that gear. What are we doing?
Rip off of One Industries?
It was like, I don't know. I think the color palette was just a little off. It was like almost good, but
my friends were yelling in the background during the watch party. They were saying, Who's who? I don't know who's who. They all look the same.
Unless you like are like a super fan and know their builds, like their body builds, but all the star guys are always small. So like it's kind of hard to like they always look skinny and small, so I mean, I don't know. But yeah, the whole star team was ripping. I mean, it's very possible it was a star sweep if if Brown doesn't go down. It would have been a star podium.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And then you got a guy that tore his ACL get third.
And like he didn't even look bad. I mean, like it didn't even look like he was laboring or like he just looked like McAdoo, you know?
Yeah, he said in an interview that he doesn't really like his fitness is good, like nothing to worry about. It's just the strength of holding on to the bike with his legs. And after he goes through a race day like Saturday, he's going to figure out what he can and cannot do. And honestly, he's going to be a guy to look out for, like seriously, because he has the speed.
If that's like Cameron McAdoo trying to figure out where he's at, I mean, shoot, he's ripping.
What do you think about your prediction on Forkner going perfect?
Well, not ideal. Forkner did indeed not go perfect.
No, he was bad.
I don't know. I mean, that has to be Forkner's worst qualifying session ever, right?
He qualified
Like,
14th.
There's no way Austin Forkner has ever qualified that low. I would be surprised, last year, if Forkner didn't qualify on the top 3, I would have said is probably a bad day, let alone outside the top 10. Like, he's pretty great at qualifying.
I will say he was sick.
Yeah.
So,
and like, there's levels to sick, right? Because some people say they're sick and then they come out and they're fine, right? Or like Cooper Webb, right? Like, I don't think that any of these guys lacks heart, especially not an Austin Forkner after everything he's been through, and I don't really see him giving up in the races and just rolling over and accepting. Like, I feel like he's a fighter and will push. So either Buddy was sick as a dog, or we might need to be a little worried.
I hope that it's a sickness because
overall,
overall, just watching, he didn't look like himself. Like he did not. The one thing I noticed was he was struggling just almost everywhere. Like not just in one section. It was just everywhere.
Yeah, he looked like he was sitting a lot. And
yeah, that has to be just the sickness being fatigued.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like you can't stand up, you can't do nothing. It also doesn't help that he got taken out in the main event.
For like no reason. But he just sent it in there.
You see what he wears underneath now with that airbag system?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Alpine Star airbag system. I'm pretty sure it went off. I'm pretty
really?
sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it went off because before the crash, like you could see it in the shoulders mostly. Before that crash, it was kind of like slim, right? And then after the crash, he was like, it looked like he was wearing shoulder pads.
When they showed that thing in the show, I told my wife, like, what happens if you get punted, right? And it just like pops, and scares you.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking. I'm like, how much force does it need to be like open, right? Or like, however you want to describe it. How much force? Does it a tip over? Is it like you face plant? Is it just like how much G force does it need? So I actually think it's a good idea though. To be fair, for a bunch of the guys, I think it might help a little bit. I would love to see what
they thought. Neck braces would help too.
Yeah, but I feel like that doesn't restrict your like movement, if that makes sense.
Or break your collarbone when you tip over.
Yeah. So, what about one title contender that has the #1 plate?
Which one?
Well, both.
Which one?
I'm talking about Tommy V first.
Considering it's Tom, I feel like we have to say that was an underperformance. However, he did get 18th last year, so big improvement.
Progress.
Progress, I guess, and like, I don't think that there's any reason to be worried and be like, Tom's falling off or anything. But I don't know. Considering PB was out and Forkner was sick and RJ was like, a lot of his comp was not there,
Lost to a guy with no ACL, man.
Yeah. Like, I just like considering the other title contender got stuck on a thing, Kitchen was who knows what he was doing. PB was out and Forkner sick. I mean, that's a lot of free spots in my opinion for a guy like Tom, and to still only manage like 5th is just odd. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm
definitely.
sure he'll be fine long term, but
Yeah, definitely underperformed. He also had a big get off in practice.
yeah, I guess. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he said in an interview that he was on a flying lap and he was like, freaking, I'm sending the whoops, man. And went in way too fast and missed a couple and went over the bars.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, those are the things you never know. Maybe he was just like, it's like Dayton Briggs at Glendale. You know, he looked like he was fading terribly in his race. Well, it's because he was, and his legs were black and blue because of his crash, right? Like
exactly.
You don't know. So maybe Tom was just absolutely cooked, and that was an insane ride. But
you know who had, I think personally, an insane ride that probably won't show up so much in the box score? Chance Hymas. He had 4 rides, and it's a new motorcycle for them. 4 rides before the race and got 6.
No, that motorcycle was bad.
It's brand new for them this year, but 6 is still pretty good.
That's what that's what his 450 teammates say, that's bad. It's a bad bike. It doesn't work.
Yeah, him getting 6 is pretty impressive, I think, personally.
4 days coming off the couch to kind of perform where I think he should. Yeah, pretty awesome.
Pretty crazy. Yeah, overall, this day, in my opinion, was great, but also very bad. Like, it sucks. It sucks because we have, let's just say 250s, PB's now out, right? Levi finished whatever, 10th or whatever. RJ, 18th. Forkner, 17th. I mean, 2 championship contenders outside of the top 15 is never a good thing, especially with how stacked the class is.
I'll be curious to see if this 250 East class, if this is a trend, right? Like if this was just a crazy weird fluke and don't pay any attention to Tampa, it was just like an odd race, or is Levi really that far off the pace for whatever reason? Was Forkner just sick and that was it, and he's actually ripping, or is there something majorly wrong? And sure, Hampshire just got stuck, but also I don't think he looked super great in the main. You know, like it wasn't like he was ripping his way up through the pack. So I'm still a little curious on that one. And on the flip side of that, does someone like Dax back that up and get another podium? You know,
I was just about to say that I would like to see a trend. I would like to see if like the trend continues with those guys up top, or say, for example, the script flips and the guys that were 1, 2, 3 this weekend in Tampa are now 15, 6, or like outside of the top 5, right? Like, how does it work? Because the class is so good, right? So
after that performance, I don't see how Max is going to be falling off, though. He looked very good.
He looked like he was there to dominate, and that's exactly what he did.
Yeah. He might be the best 250 guy right now, both classes.
Bro, maybe. Shout to Cole. Shout to Cole Davies for predicting it.
I mean, yeah. Cole, we were playing bikes, and he did say that. I asked him, okay, so who should I pay attention to on East? And he said Max is on a whole different level.
I can't wait for an East-West showdown, bro.
Yeah, I was just going to say, man, the East-West showdown is going to be sick.
And then for the 450 class, losing 2 contenders and having 1 contender DNF is not good. Yeah, so overall, Tampa, great for Malcolm. Shout out to Malcolm. Unbelievable ride. I mean, he looked like he was the best guy out there. Hands down, he was the best guy out there.
You know what's crazy, though, is like we still have the potential to have... Okay, so how many different winners we have? We have Chase, Eli, Jet, and Kenny.
Kenny hasn't won a race.
Oh, Kenny hasn't won a race.
So Chase has won twice.
Chase won twice.
So we have Chase, Eli, Jet, Chase, and then we have Malcolm. So we have 4 different winners.
4 different winners. Cooper Webb's 100% going to win a race. So that would be 5.
Anderson
can win a race.
Roxon.
And then, so dude, 7 different winners?
Think about, AP. Like, this is a season that could, this is a season where anything can happen now with the injuries and starts and stuff like that.
That's a lot of different. I mean, for sure, like for sure, Cooper Webb's gonna get her win.
Yes.
I would say Ken Roxon will get a win.
Yes.
I would say Anderson can get a win. I think things would probably more have to kind of align for him. Like
I think
you'd
he has
have
to
to
get
get
a
it
whole shot, and then like Cooper, Chase, and
right,
Kenny have to be
or just
7th through
buried,
10th. Yeah.
just like buried,
Yeah.
and he's gone. Which, although he showed some crazy speed at San Diego, was that San Diego?
No, A2.
A2, right. He had a ton of speed there, so maybe he doesn't really need to have things aligned. Like I definitely think he needs a start. But I mean that would be I mean I for sure think we get 2 more winners at least.
I think we at least get 3, bro. Cooper, Kenny, and Anderson, at least 3. I believe that. And you got to think about the fluke guys.
Yeah.
You never know what Barsha could do if there's a mutter. You never know what
True.
you could do with AP if there's a mutter. Like,
Yeah.
I think both of those guys, if they have a good start, could potentially maybe even win straight up, you know?
AP does look really good.
Yeah, so 450 class, even though we have a few guys hurt now and a few guys not doing so well in the championship, there's still so much more racing, and it's going to be insane. But let us know in the comment section below what you guys thought about Tampa, and let us know your thoughts on Malcolm winning. Let us know your thoughts on the Roxon situation. We'd love to hear what you guys have to say about that. Make sure you guys stay tuned for our next video, aka the rider rating video tomorrow. It's going to be a good one, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. And thank you guys so much for all the love on all of these videos, man. It means a lot to us, so thank you guys very much. And we'll catch you guys back here in tomorrow's video. We're out. Peace.